No one else in the whole world will come with another prophecy for the rapture date. Mine is the final one. I was deceived, or I saw something else, but not the Lord of Lords, not the King of Kings. I am 1,000,000,000% sure that I saw Jesus.
Yeah.
And he spoke to me. My prophecy is going to shake the whole world. He says to me, days from now, literal days, not months, days from now, I'm going to come to Rapture the church.
Are you setting another date?
I'm telling you right now, there are people all across this nation watching me right now that call themselves believers and are living unaware. We have no idea what's coming. We have no idea what the Lord is doing. We're not even paying attention to the fact that the next thing on the prophetic timetable is the rapture of the church. Like Israel's a nation now. That prophecy came to pass in the 1940s. The next prophetic thing on the timetable is the catching away of the people of God, to usher in the rise of the Antichrist. I believe he might be alive right now. And that 7-year peace treaty that he signs with Israel, because Israel must be in war when he comes.
I think it's really hitting me that we are going home. And I am so sad for those who are not going with us.
To my brothers and sisters who are watching for the rapture right now, don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. Jesus is still coming.
And as we approach the end of the day, it's looking like it's not happening, y'all. I'm not gonna lie, I feel foolish. I feel dumb.
It is September 23rd, and we're still here. And I'm fine with that.
The person who sold me their car on September 21st, if this is September 24th and the rapture didn't happen, you're not getting your car back.
Now, could you imagine selling all your things away, thinking the rapture is coming, and then the next couple months, the government shuts down, and then they stop giving out food stamps and EBT? We could have a financial collapse that could happen anytime now. Yet, all these Christian churches and preachers are telling their people that the rapture is coming, that they don't have to worry about nothing, that they should be focused on the rapture. So I just found it funny how all this played out right after the rapture was supposed to occur a couple months ago. We ended up having the government shutdown to follow that. And a lot of people probably lost their jobs or wasn't getting paid during that time or was relying on food stamps. Now everything is back to normal. They're back open. But what if it was to remain shut down for some time and people were really going to be struggling out here?
Mom who called her local churches asking for baby formula because she didn't have enough for the week. It's both shocking people and not shocking anyone, because she found out that you can look at a church and tell who would be willing to give her free, just a small thing of baby formula is all she asked for. She's not asking for money. She's not asking for anything else, just baby formula. She has a baby crying in the background. It's basically a social experiment. We have seen mega churches hanging up on her. They basically can't get her off the phone fast enough. And some of them will send her to a voicemail and then never call her back. So mega churches absolutely will not help you. As soon as they figure out you're a person in need, they have nothing to do with you.
You see, the church isn't preparing people to endure. The rapture doctrine is setting so many Christians up for failure in the end times, because all it does is make you complacent. They're telling you that you're going to vanish before times get hard. What if it doesn't come to pass? Then what? What is your backup plan? How are you going to survive through hard times if you've been so focused on being prepared to be raptured? Let alone that the rapture is not even biblical. This was a concept that was created in the 1800s by a man named Darby. This doctrine that he came up with basically says that those who believe in Yashua the Messiah is going to be raptured up before the Great Tribulation. And the requirements for being raptured depends upon one's faith. You would have to believe in him in order to be raptured. All who don't believe in him is basically going to get left behind. So basically, all that is required of one to be raptured is faith alone. And that's it. They don't have to prepare for nothing. Everything that they own is going to be left behind, as well as those who don't believe. So I'm going to touch upon that. What is faith alone going to do for believers in the last days? Because in James chapter 2, verse 26, it says, faith without works is dead. So it's interesting that he came up with a doctrine that said all that will be required of believers is faith in the Messiah, and they will be raptured out during hard times. But let's see what the Bible says regarding faith. Beginning with Noah. So when God destroyed the earth the first time when he caused the flood, he spared Noah and his family as well as the rest of the living creatures on earth. So what was required of Noah? Was it just faith alone that saved Noah? Or was there another requirement? Because remember, faith without works is dead. So let's look at what the Most High told Noah to do before he destroyed the earth. Starting in Genesis chapter 6. Verse 13 says, and the Most High said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Verse 14, make thee an ark of gopher wood, room shalt thou make in the ark, and shall pitch it within and without with pitch. And then he goes on to describe the length of the ark in the following verses. And then the Most High confirms that Noah, along with his family, and all the living creatures on the earth will be saved when he brings the flood upon the earth. And then it follows up with verse 21 that says, take thou unto thee of all food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee, and it shall be for food for thee and for them. Thus did Noah according to all that the Most High commanded him, so did he. You see how that works? The Most High warned them what was about to take place, and Noah believed in his words. So the Most High gave him commandments on what he must do before it comes to pass. And Noah acted upon those words. He didn't sit by idle when Yahuah told him that the flood is going to come upon the earth. Noah had faith that the day would come, but he knew that if he didn't do what the Most High required of him in building the ark or providing food for him and the rest of his family, they would have died along with the rest of the unbelievers. But he acted upon his faith, knowing the Most High words will come to pass. He didn't sit by idle. He didn't think, oh, I'm going to be saved just because I have faith alone. I believe in the Most High, so he's going to save me because I'm righteous or I appear better than the rest of the fallen world. No, he didn't have a sense of entitlement. He knew that he still had to act upon his faith, and that's what he did. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 7. By faith, Noah, being warned of Yahuah of things not seen as yet, moved with fear, prepared an ark to save his house, by the which he condemned the world, and became heir of the righteousness which is by faith. So Noah moved with fear. He prepared an ark for the saving of his household. He did not be hesitant or become complacent in the Most High's warning that he's going to destroy the earth. He took it very serious, and he acted upon his faith. He put the work in building that ark. It wasn't going to be built by itself. He wasn't going to be raptured out of the world. He had to build that ark in order to be placed on it. And you know what the Most High did? He sealed the door shut to keep him safe from the wrath that poured upon the earth. This is a common theme throughout the Bible. Faith without works is dead. When Joseph received a warning from the Most High that there will be famine in the land of Egypt, he didn't just wait for it to hit. He prepared for it by stocking up food. Had he not, his entire family, as well as the Egyptians, they would have died from starvation. So here's how Joseph acted upon his faith. In Genesis chapter 41, verse 35 through 36, it says, "And let them gather all the food of those good years that come," which is the 7 years of plentiful. He says, "Lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. And that food shall be restored to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine." So what Joseph did, or what he recommended to the Pharaoh, is that they stock up on food during those first 7 years so that they'll be prepared for the famine during the final 7 years. So once Joseph revealed this to the Pharaoh made him to be the overseer of the land. And ultimately, this is what led Joseph to saving his family from the famine that took place in the land of Canaan. Now you're probably wondering, what's the correlation between this and the end times, the Great Tribulation? Well, Yashua the Messiah warned us that during the Great Tribulation, there's going to be famine. Revelation chapter 6, verse 8, "And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, with hunger, and with death." So there's going to be famine in the end times. So in the same way that the Most High gave his word to Noah, and he gave his word to Joseph in a dream, he has also given us his word in prophecy. He warned us that there's going to be famine. So in Joseph's case, he prepared for that by stocking up food. So idleness can cause you to miss out on the blessings that you were expecting. But being prepared and working towards that blessing will never do you wrong. Yashua the Messiah likened the end times to 10 virgins. There were 5 foolish virgins and 5 wise virgins who had lamps and were preparing or awaiting his return. Verse 3 through 10. "They that were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them, but the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh. Go out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said unto the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, saying, Not so, lest there be not enough for us and you. But go rather to them that sell and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut." So this is the difference in being prepared and being idle. The foolish virgins had a lamp, but they had no oil. The wise virgins brought oil with them, so when the day came, they were already ready. So how does this correlate to the Great Tribulation? We are not being prepared for hard times. The church isn't preparing people for hard times. Right now, people can be prepared until the Messiah returns, but yet they're caught up in the rapture doctrine where they don't have to do anything at all. They just have to sit and look pretty with their lamps and expect to be saved. So what's going to happen, instead of being ready for their Messiah to return, they're going to have to rely on those who are in the world. And this is dangerous because the mark of the beast is going to come.
Call it tied to a digital ID and have that digital ID be mapped to your physical ID through the biometric data collection. So there's different efforts to make digital IDs either as NFTs, non-fungible tokens. There's also the efforts of Sam Altman of OpenAI and his WorldCoin project, whereby you scan your iris, you give them the biometric credentials of your eyeball. They give you a unique identifier, a digital ID, and it's inherently tied to a digital wallet. That is the same model the UN is using. They've already implemented it for refugees getting food assistance from the World Food Program. It's called Building Blocks. It's on blockchain. It involves refugees scanning their irises, and in order to buy food or receive their rations, they have to check out of a grocery store style place in the refugee camp, and they check out biometrically with an eyeball scan, and then the amount of food they have, the monetary value of that is subtracted from their digital wallet connected to their digital ID and their iris.
So when they go to buy this oil from the fallen world, by the time they go to meet the Messiah, they're going to be rejected, because they should have been prepared for all this. He already gave us his word of what's going to pass. So these foolish virgins, they had their lamp. They were ready for his return, but they had lamps without oil. They had faith without works. In Matthew chapter 24, he gave us a warning of the end times and how the following events will take place. In verses 6 through 8, it says, "And you should hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There should be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows." So I'm going to repeat that one more time. He said, "See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass." What are those things? He says wars, famines, pestilences, earthquakes. And then he says all these are just the beginning. So he's basically insinuating that we're still going to be here during times of trouble. He wouldn't tell us this if he knew we were going to be raptured. So what this tells us is faith with works is expecting his words to come to pass and doing what you can to prepare for it when it does. And on the flip side of that is faith without works is expecting his words to pass and doing absolutely nothing at all. So how would that separate you from those who are unbelievers? In the same chapter of Matthew 24, verse 13, the Messiah goes on to say that he that shall endure until the end, the same shall be saved. Now, the key word in this verse is endure. This is not something that these false prophets and churches are teaching today. The definition of endure is to suffer something painful or difficult patiently. To suffer patiently. The second definition it gives is remain in existence, last. So when the Messiah told us to endure until the end, this is what he means. He means we must suffer patiently, and also we must remain in existence. We must last. We must live on until he comes and usher in his kingdom. Remember, when the Most High flooded the earth, he spared Noah. So Noah had to endure during that time period. He had to last. He had to live on. But what the church has been preaching is that we should be afraid to live on because it's going to be so bad, which it is going to be bad. But Yashua the Messiah wouldn't tell us that he that endures until the end shall be saved if that wasn't to be the case. Some of us are going to make it through this tribulation and come out of it. Some of us may even suffer death from going through the tribulation. But yet, we will still be saved regardless. So it doesn't matter if we live on during tribulation or if we're killed during tribulation, as long as we have faith in the Messiah and as long as we remained obedient to his words and kept his commandments, we are going to be saved. So it will be better to prepare to live on, to survive these trying times. Just like the trying times have occurred since the beginning of time. It's really nothing new that we're going to be experiencing. There's always been wars. There's always been earthquakes. There's always been famines and epidemics. And through all those things, our ancestors endured. It's the reason why we're still alive today. If they didn't show endurance and make it through hard times, none of us would be here right now. So it's the same during the end times. We have to do our part. We have to show endurance. We have to make it to the end. He already gave us his word on what we should be expecting in the end times. So now we have to do our part. How are we going to act upon our faith knowing the things that he told us would come upon this world? For example, we already know that the mark of the beast is going to come upon this world in Revelation chapter 13. And there's already talks right now about digital ID. So we all know where this is going to lead to. Ultimately, you won't be able to buy or sell without the mark. You won't be able to have a job. You won't be able to shop. Everything is going to be required around this mark. But this is not until the second half of the Great Tribulation. So there are things that we can do to prepare in avoiding temptation so that we're not relying on taking the mark in order to survive. And that's what it says in Revelation chapter 3, verse 10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep you from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So once again, this goes back to being idle or being prepared. Those who kept his words of patience, being prepared to endure through these times, they're not going to have to worry about facing temptation or being tried because they already knew that this was going to come to pass. So they already made preparations to avoid taking the mark. They done what they needed to do so they don't have to rely on the mark in order to survive. They relied on the Most High. They didn't wait until times got bad in order to have no choice but to rely on the system to survive. And that's how the devil is going to get people. Those who are idle, those who have not been preparing at all, who just believe that they were going to be raptured and not have to go through hard times, those are the ones that are going to be tested. They are going to be tried. They're going to have to go through temptation because they have done nothing to prepare to live through those times. They didn't think they were going to be here still, but they've been deceived about being raptured out of here. So what's going to happen to those who kept the words of his patience, who knew these things were going to come to pass and were ready for them? How is he going to keep them from the hour of temptation that all the world will have to go through? Remember how Philip Anthony Mitchell said that the regathering of Israel signals the end times, signals that the tribulation or the Great Tribulation has arrived?
Like Israel's a nation now. That prophecy came to pass in the 1940s. The next prophetic thing on the timetable is the catching away of the people of God.
Well, that prophecy still has to occur. It did not happen in 1948. Those are not the real people of Israel.
We also know that there was a lot of other conversions that happened with the Khazars, for example, the Khazarian Empire, which takes up modern day Ukraine, parts of Russia, not Czechoslovakia. Let me pull up the map here. The various different, so pretty much, Georgia, Russia, and Ukraine predominantly is where the Khazar Empire was. And Herzl and many of the early Zionists came from that region. They're Austrian, Russian, coming from that region, where we know that there was later on, many years after any of these biblical stories, there was a lot of conversion to Judaism. Many people assert that Herzl and many of the Ashkenazi Jews that come from these Eastern European areas are actually descendants of converts. Yes, they've been Jewish for many, many, many years.
Here's what Isaiah chapter 11, verse 11 through 12 says. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahuah shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. The people that's in the land of Israel did not fulfill this prophecy in 1948. For one, the only ones claiming to have returned are Jews. But that's not the prophecy. It says there's going to be those of all of Israel returning to the land. And there was a total of 12 tribes that made up Israel. It wasn't just Jews. Secondly, those people aren't ethnically Israelites. They are not the children of Jacob. They come from Eastern Europe. They are the ones that the Messiah warned us about in Revelation chapter 3, verse 9. They claim to be Judah, but they are not. But they do lie. They are liars. They have deceived the world into believing that they are the chosen people, that they fulfilled prophecy in 1948. But yet, nothing occurred since then. It took a total of 70 years, and nothing has happened yet as pertaining to the end times. That's just not how that works. When the Most High regathers his people, the end time events are going to unfold rapidly. We know that before the Most High judges Mystery Babylon and punishes her, he's first going to call out his people. That's why he says, "Come out of her, my people, be not partakers of her sins, so you receive not of her plagues." Who is he referring to? In Zechariah chapter 2, verse 7 through 9, that is Israel. It says, "Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon. For thus say Yahuah of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoil you. For he that touches you touches the apple of his eye. For behold, I will shake my hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servants, and you shall know that Yahuah of hosts hath sent me." But you see that verse, "He that touches you touches the apple of his eye." They have been using that for a people that aren't even Israel. This doesn't apply to them. So that's why it doesn't go together with end times prophecy. Nothing has changed since 1948, because that wasn't the prophecy being fulfilled of the regathering of Israel. When the Most High regathers his people, then you're going to see judgment coming upon this world, certainly upon Babylon for her sins. You see, a lot of Christians today don't understand the importance of prophecy in the Old Testament. They only read the New Testament thinking that's all they have to rely on, or that's all they need to rely on. But the Old Testament prophecies of Israel ties into end time events. Ezekiel chapter 6, verse 8 through 9. "Yet will I leave a remnant, that ye may have some that shall escape the sword among the nations, when you shall be scattered through the countries. And they that escape of you shall remember me among the nations, where they have been carried captives, because I am broken with their whorish hearts, which has departed from me, and with their eyes which go whoring after their idols. And they shall loathe themselves for the evils which they have committed in all their abominations." So right here, this is talking about Israel. It's talking about the Israelites. They're going to be a remnant of Israelites who believe in the Messiah. And that's the most important thing. There's going to be a remnant who believes in the Messiah. So not all Israelites are going to be saved, but those who believe. They're going to escape out of the nations they have been scattered to. And when is this going to take place? They're going to escape when the sword comes upon these nations, meaning this is going to happen during turbulent times in the countries that they have been scattered to. So this can be things such as wars or famines or disasters. It's during that time that the Most High is going to call out his people. And once again, all these things must come to pass. Matthew chapter 24, verse 35. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away. All these things that is prophesied to happen must come to pass. And Israel being regathered is something that must come to pass. We cannot skip to the Messiah's return before that happens. And also there will be strangers amongst the Israelites who will also escape during that time period. So it's not just going to be Israelites coming out of the nations that are going through turbulent times, but it'll also be Gentiles, those who believe in the Messiah. And no, this isn't the rapture. We're literally going to be fleeing out of these nations into the wilderness. That's what's spoken of in Revelation chapter 12. We're still going to be here just like Noah was here during the flood. We're still going to be hanging around, enduring to the end, trusting in the Most High and his plans, knowing that his words are going to come to pass. And the signs of his words being fulfilled are already here. Back in 2021, right after COVID, China told its citizens to stock up on supplies, prompting panic buying and fears of war. So why would China tell its citizens to do so? It wasn't because of COVID. They're literally preparing for war. And since 2021, that's all that we have seen. Right after this, Russia invaded Ukraine. And then you had Israel going to war against all the nations that surround them. And then you have the United States, who of course is implicated in all of these wars. They themselves are preparing to go to war right now. All of these are signs that the Messiah's words are coming true. We are still here during this. So we need to be preparing for war. We need to be preparing for famines, for earthquakes, for natural disasters. We shouldn't be idle during this time period. Proverbs chapter 22 verse 3 says, "A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished." So we have his words that these things are going to come to pass. So we should be doing our part in preparing for it, rather than living as if nothing is going to happen or that we are not going to be impacted by these things. We're still going to be here. We're still going to be affected by the government shutdowns. We're still going to be affected by food shortages, etc. So we have to prepare for these things. This is not the time to be giving your home away thinking you're going to be raptured. This is not the time to be not buying or stocking up on food or having a supply of water. You have to prepare for hard times. A good example of this is if a hurricane that's a category 5 was to pass over your city, what would you do to prepare for that? Are you just going to not do nothing and wait it out? Well, we've seen how that plays out. It doesn't end well when you don't prepare with the time you need, when you don't either escape or prepare to survive during that time. It's the same thing in these last days. The Messiah warned us to prepare for these disasters that are going to take place. Yet some of us are not doing anything at all. We're not preparing at all. And we see the warning signs. We see that it's there. And yet we're expecting to be raptured. You're awaiting something that isn't going to come because the Most High never said that he's going to rapture us before the tribulation. So if it never comes, you're going to be unprepared for the hard times. You're not going to be prepared to endure. So now is the time to take his word serious and act upon it. Faith without works is dead. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 1 through 6. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you. For you yourselves know perfectly that the day of Yahuah cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that that day should overtake you as a thief. You are children of the light and the children of the day, and we are not of the night, nor of the darkness. Therefore let us not sleep, as do others, but let us watch and be sober. We are expecting these things to take place, and they're not going to catch us off guard. Don't cast the words of the Most High off to the side. In the same way that you trust the weatherman to give you accurate information when he gives you the forecast for the week, and you bring your umbrella when he foretells that it's going to rain, trust the words of the Most High in the same way. Or when that sports podcaster tells you what team or player you should be betting on, and you bet for that player or team, trust in the Most High the same way that you do that podcaster. Or when an investor tells you which stocks you should be investing in and you invest in them, trust in the Most High the same way. Because most of the time, those people are going to get those things wrong. But the Most High can never be wrong. His words are going to be fulfilled. So trust in the Most High. We've seen how wrong these false prophets have been about setting dates and times that the Messiah is supposed to be returning. There's not been one yet that has got it right. So stop following and trusting in man and trust in the words of the Most High.
Watch this. This day comes immediately after the Day of Trumpets. We celebrated that last week, right? What is the trumpet? You guys remember what it is? It's a warning. It's a warning to prepare you for hard times. So if you want to take this thing to the fullest, take it to the fullest. Realize that you just heard the trumpet and now you got to really get ready. So how would it be if you had no power in your crib for the next 24 hours? You didn't use no electricity, no air conditioning, no food. Does that make sense? You slept on the floor. You would really be ready, because there's a time coming very soon when you're not going to have no electricity, no running water. You're going to be sleeping on the floor. You're not going to have a cabinet full of snacks and food to run and grab. And this is getting you ready for that. Amen. How far you want to take it is between you and the Most High.